And President Trump speaking at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Remember, of course, the first time that this happened, there was the would-be assassin who showed up, and obviously everything went haywire. And President Trump, to his credit, he said, you know what? I am coming back. We are going to do this dinner. We are going to finish the job. And I'll just tell you, the fact that he has come back in powerful fashion, talking about freedom of the press, throwing a few jabs. He said, I'm going to be funny, but I'm also going to be vicious. He says he would have been more vicious on the first one, by the way. He said, you guys in the crowd, you media folks in the crowd, because it's basically all media and also some members of the administration and also members of Congress. He's saying, had I come back the first time, had I been able to do my speech the first time, it would have been really searing. So he's saying tonight is a little bit more of a milder version of it. And he's also saying that he's appreciative of freedom of the press and appreciative of America. So here he is, starting out at the White House Correspondents' Dinner just a little bit ago.
Wow, that was very beautiful, but this has not been an easy evening, all these awards. Do I have a say in those awards, all those awards? But it's great to be back at a place that I know very well because I built it. And I'm very proud of it because I built it for $2.9 billion less than the Federal Reserve building, which is a lot smaller, by the way. Figure that one out.
How many people can actually say that? I'm glad to be back in a place that I built because it's at the Waldorf Astoria. It's about 1,300 people in this event. Normally, it's about 4,000, if not more, at the Washington Hilton. It's the biggest ballroom in D.C., which is why they've always had it there since the 1970s. And tonight, they're doing it at the Waldorf Astoria, a lot more security, a lot more capability in terms of one entrance. By the way, it was the Trump Hilton, I shouldn't say Hilton, but Trump Hotel that took place there. And it's a beautiful building. I've been in that building. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it was a gorgeous Trump hotel, then recently converted now to the Waldorf Astoria. So President Trump knows the ins and outs, spent a lot of time there, knows the area. The roads are blocked off. You could also see at this point, there was so much security right by the dais, but everybody looks like they're relaxed and happy to be there. And really, this isn't a remarkable testament to President Trump. He's talking about also the fact that he would have had the dinner even that night. Remember that night? There are so many reports that he was arguing with the Secret Service because they're like, you got to get out of the room. We're calling it off. You can't come back. Remember, the guy ran by the magnetometers, taking shots. So there are so many details that are really horrifying about the first time this was supposed to happen just a few months ago. But not President Trump. He's unwavering. He said, I'm coming back. We're going to have this dinner. He wanted to have it that night. Of course, security said, no. You are not going to do it. But he said, I will be there tonight. For sure, I am determined. And he even just announced a little bit ago that he's going to come back again next year. So he truly is a trooper. You can tell that they 100% are surprised and at least impressed with his resilience. Now, in terms of the audience, you know what? It's a lot of very liberal members of the press. And maybe they're not quite clapping like they might when it was Bill Clinton or Joe Biden or some of the others. But a lot of President Trump's jokes are actually very funny. Good delivering, good timing. Certainly has a lot of energy compared to some of the past presidents. And you got to give him credit for that. And his fight is really unbelievable. The fact he's there tonight at the White House Correspondents' Dinner talking to what is pretty much a very hostile crowd, and yet he's still there. He's steadfast. He says what he feels. And it's that same sort of energy as we saw even in Butler, Pennsylvania, the fight, the unwavering determination of this president. It is remarkable. And the fact, even today, he did a press conference in the Oval Office and he was taking questions left and right. A lot of them from hostile reporting. He didn't care. He continues to take those requests all the time. There are a lot of presidents who are like, no, I'm not going to call on this person, or I need to have pre-scripted answers or have a thought of the topic. Not President Trump. He just kind of wheels and deals and says, okay, you in the green shirt, whatever question you want to ask, I'll take the question. It's a remarkable feat. And it just shows that he's not afraid of anything. He doesn't mind talking to anybody. They ask him a lot of nasty questions. There was a New York Times reporter, in fact, who might even be in the room now, who was there in the Oval Office today asking him, are you responsible for war crimes if you plan on going after bridges and power plants in Iran? I mean, what a ludicrous question. Are you planning on going after these things, and does that make you a war criminal? I mean, what a ridiculous comment. He's trying to wipe out the terrorist group there, the regime of Iran, and they're asking him if he's a war criminal. That's a remarkable moment. But I will just say, as someone who has covered the White House for a long time, and I've been there in the White House Correspondents' dinners many times, I have been also asking questions of presidents for many, many years. I've never seen a president give so much access to the media. No matter who they are, Republican, Democrat, he has been incredible in terms of giving access, allowing reporters from all different publications, throw your questions in. Whatever it is, I'll take it, I'll face it, it doesn't really matter. And that is the resilience of President Trump. And even those who maybe don't like him, even maybe a lot of the members in the media that are right there, they got to admire that. And they got to appreciate and be thankful that they have a president that at least they can get access to. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to the Rita Cosby Show on a busy news night. President Trump at the White House Correspondents' dinner. Also, a lot of people reacting to those horrible stabbings that took place yesterday in New York. And some people pointing the finger, saying they are fanning the flames of hate. And they're talking about Mayor Mondani and others that have been going after Israel, going after Netanyahu verbally. And are they inciting people to do dangerous things like we sadly have seen just in the last 24 hours? That attacker has just now been charged with hate crimes and also 2 counts of attempted murder. But I'm glad that they did the hate crimes, because that means it's going to be much more serious charges. And that also means, in addition to all of that, it also certainly means that there will be very, very serious repercussions. And it sends a message that when someone goes down the street and they shout the words Allahu Akbar and then start stabbing people, well, guess what? I think it's pretty obvious that's a hate crime. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. And President Trump, by the way, has been terrific, of course, when it comes to Israel and supporting the Jewish people. And in fact, he said today in the Oval Office, when he was answering some of the many questions from members of the media, he said, you know what, I don't think Israel would exist if I were not president, because we launched Operation Epic Fury. We took out those nuclear sites that clearly Iran had Israel in its crosshairs. And Israel might not be around, the Middle East might not be around. And he said, but I took the bold, decisive action. And he may be on the verge of another massive military attack also very, very soon. So you've got to admire his guts and his courage on so many different levels. And one of the bravest going back to the White House Correspondents' dinner with all these different members of the press tonight. He is undeniably fearless. Well, one of the things he talked about also, and I was wondering, how is he going to play this? How is he going to talk about the fact of what happened the first go round with this dinner when he was scheduled to talk? Will he be ready to address it and even to make a joke about it? How do you kind of make a joke about something so serious and really terrifying? Because the guy obviously was loaded for bear when he showed up. So when you hear all these different things, How do you sort of play that at this correspondence dinner? Well, President Trump addressed it head on, and he did it pretty quickly at the top. And he even made some jokes about it. Take a listen.
But after hearing the gunshots, many people yelled, "Get down, get down," which caused Nicki Minaj to start twerking. Do you believe it? Get down. She's the only one that really understood what that meant.
And also, he also made some jokes about Robert F. Kennedy. Now, this was very funny. I thought this was a great line. Take a listen to what he said mocking RFK Jr.
I hope that everyone finally got to enjoy their entire, very delicious beef tenderloins, very special beef. And I want you all to know that Bobby Kennedy, who's right here, personally ran over the cow in his car. And he cut it up and he brought it here for you to eat tonight. So it's very fresh. And Bobby also suggested an appetizer featuring his favorite cut of male raccoon roadkill. But we drew the line at that, Cheryl. We said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that. We love Bobby. I'll tell you, it is a piece of work. You think it is fun, but he is a very different kind of a person, I will tell you. But he has what it takes, and he's smart, and he loves the country, and he wants people to be made to feel good. Do you agree with that, Bobby? He wants people to feel good. And he's doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. We can joke all we want, but thank you.
That was very, very funny. And Bobby Kennedy just laughed. You could just tell he thought it was hilarious, and he thought it was just a very funny and very clever moment. It was actually, I thought, well-timed, and I thought it was hysterical. And he did get one of the biggest laughs, I think, even at that particular moment when he said that joke about RFK Jr. Very, very funny. And then also President Trump said, not only am I here tonight, not only even though all this craziness happened, of course, the last time, I'm here tonight. I am standing. We are standing strong. We're proud. I'm going to be here. And despite how you guys feel about me in the room, you members of the media at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, I will also be back next year. And he got a big applause. I'm happy to see that because they should be thankful for the way that they treat him. The fact that he still has the cojones and the fortitude and the determination to say, I'm going to come back again next year. Listen, he deals with the hostile press every single day. So I guess it's no difference than every single day at the White House. But President Trump already made the vow that he will return next year. And I give him a lot of credit for that. So take a listen, because he did make a couple little jokes about it and said maybe the dinner's going to be called something different next year.
But tonight's event is even crazier than the last time. In fact, it's so successful that I've been informed by CBS News' David Ellison, who's going to do a fantastic job. He's the owner. He bought it, spent a lot of money, and he's going to make, I think, fantastic changes and keep some of the great stuff going. But then next year, they're going to call it the Trump White House Correspondents' Center. He told me that, and I like that very much. We're going to change the name of it, okay? Oh, it's going to be so hot, just like our country is hot. We are hot, by the way. But to be honest, it's just about the only way that they're going to ever get me back here. You're going to have to change the name of the dinner. But
very funny. And people were like, is he serious? And he's like, I'm just kidding. Get a funny bone, guys and gals in the crowd. I mean, some of them, it didn't seem like they were getting the jokes too quickly. But President Trump, again, continuing in rare form. When we come back, we'll take your calls, guys. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show on another busy Friday night.
breaking news.
And you are listening to the Rita Cosby Show. President Trump still speaking at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Here he is.
Christianity. Other than that, I think his platform is quite good. And that means that he's not going to do very well against Ken Paxton, who hopefully in Texas is going to win. But Telefrico, he's Alfred. You know what he looks like to me? Alfred E. Newman. Do you remember Alfred E. Newman, Mad Magazine? I said, that guy is Alfred E. Newman. Can't imagine he'd win. Well, I have all of the press here in one place. I have to say that we're having an amazing load of accomplishments that the media never talks about. For example, under my administration, a once feared and powerful regime that relentlessly attacked America has finally been toppled. Their former leaders have been removed, and they're now being run by a gay dictator facing internal divisions. But I, for one, wish Barry Weiss all the best at CBS News. She's a wonderful woman. Most of the press lives here in Washington, D.C., and you should be thankful for me for what my administration and I have done to make our nation's capital, which was one of the most dangerous and unsafe cities anywhere in the world, one of the safest cities in the United States. Crime is down 88%. And our capital is shining again with 62 monuments, statues, water fountains looking more beautiful. The graffiti's all gone. The tents are all moved out of the parks. The fences are all done. Our capital looks like it's really in good shape. And people coming here, people in the White House, they work in the White House, they all say, young women, young guys walk up. They say, thank you, sir. 2 years ago, we lived in a dangerous city. We lived in a city where 150 people were killed a year. And now we have almost a crime-free city. Our National Guard has done an incredible job, and we've removed over 5,000 career criminals. You know, we removed, there's one stat, I think it's a great stat. It's to me, it's fantastic. 2% of the people create 91% of the crime. That's something you can fix, and we fix it.
And you have been listening to President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We'll continue our coverage because, boy, he is going on and on. The energy of President Trump, talking about Graham Plattner, crime in D.C., and, of course, the media in the room.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment from South Maid, Texas, where a police officer is heralded as he saved a 2-year-old girl who was choking and unresponsive during his overnight shift. He got a call at 1 a.m. saying a little child was not breathing. He immediately rushed there, delivered back blows, and then suddenly little Paisley began to breathe. The officer said she started whimpering. It was the best sign of life. She was taken to a hospital and expected to make a full recovery. And everybody, let's go back to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. President Trump speaking now.
We have the single best recruiting of people into our armed forces than we have ever had in the history of our country. They are brimming over with great people. And that's a big statement. And that also goes for the police departments where they were having a tremendous problem recruiting. You can't get into a police department now. If you're looking for a job, it's very tough. And that also includes our great fire departments because people forget about them. They're unbelievable, the job they do. So I just want to thank you. Look, we're on the cusp of something big, and I call it, and this I'm being very serious when I say this, that this is the golden age of America. We have $19.2 trillion being spent in our country. A record was China. I think it was 10 years ago, $3 trillion. Trillion is a lot. 4 years, they went less than $1 trillion under Biden. And we have $19.2 trillion. And this is a period of actually 13 months, not even current, because we're here a little bit longer than that. But that was as of reporting dates. $19.2 trillion is being spent. Factories are coming. Toyota just announced they're going to be building the biggest car plant in the world. They're leaving Mexico. They're coming here. Tariffs did that. Tariffs did that. And maybe November 5th did that too, the election. But our country is doing things that nobody's ever seen before. And it is true. We were, and you've heard me say this, we were a dead country 2 years ago. Other leaders would see me and they'd say it's a miracle. President Xi told me that a few weeks ago in China, and he's coming here on September, I think, 24th, coming in September, the end of September, going to be exciting. But he said the same thing. The King of Saudi Arabia said it. Everyone said almost the same words. We thought you were a dead country. We never thought you had a chance. You were never going to make it back. And in a period of 1 year, you made it the hottest country anywhere in the world. We all did that together. It's not me. We all did it together. And we do. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we're going to keep it going. And I just want to say, this is a room. I have tremendous respect for the people in this room. Sometimes I don't feel you treat me fair. Or maybe you do. I don't know. I don't feel that. But sometimes you treat me very fairly. And I have a lot of respect for your profession. Your profession's amazing. And I just want to thank you for having me. And it's been fun. And I've met a lot of great people. And, I used an expression. And I've used it right from the beginning. I did this for one reason, to make America great again. And that's what's happening right before your very eyes. We have made America great again. It's going to get a lot greater. So thank you all very much. It's an honor to be with you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And you have been listening to President Trump speaking at the trimmed down White House Correspondents' dinner, because obviously it's a lot smaller than it was last time. Probably, less than a third of the size. Also, a lot of security, a lot of very visible security there at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And this one being held at the Astoria, the Waldorf Astoria there, which was the Trump Hotel. And of course, I love that he started the speech saying, I know this place well. I know it inside and out. I built this place, which was a great way to start. And he also talked about Gavin Newsom. He talked about Graham Plattner. He talked about Tallarico, who was running up against Ken Paxton there in Texas. So it was very funny. And he delivered, it looked like, it went on for quite a bit. I got to get the exact timing, but it seemed to be a bit longer than many of the other speeches that I have seen there at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Also, Newt Gingrich in attendance. You could see also Secretary Mark Mullen, the Homeland Security Secretary. I saw Mike Waltz, it looked like, in the audience there. Christopher Wright, the Energy Secretary. Many, many people there at the Waldorf Astoria. And obviously, certainly one for the ages. And you also see that they did not have a comedian. That was the thing. They had the mentalist, remember, the Israeli mentalist. And he is going to be back again because, remember, he was going to even perform there at the dinner. And, of course, he didn't get a chance to perform either. You could also see, by the way, Caroline Leavitt, who was also there at the dais, too. So it still looks like an action-packed crowd. And at the end, my favorite point, which I thought was very, very funny, was President Trump puts on his typical red MAGA hat, and it said Trump 2028 on it. Which was a good way to say to the crowd, jazzing them. And he also said, you know what, maybe I'll come back for a third term. And you could tell at the time, people in the audience were like, is he serious? Is he serious? And he said, I'm just joking. But then at the end, he puts on his Trump 2028 hat and ribs them yet one more time again. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And let's go to another one of the moments from the Correspondents' Dinner. We're going to take your calls, too, because I want to get your thoughts of the courage of President Trump showing up there. He also said, by the way, we do not yield to political violence. I thought that was a really powerful statement, too, saying we will not give up. And then at the end, he also answered and said, you don't always treat me fair, but I'm still honored to be here. He also talked about what a great, great country this is, and also called it the golden age of America, talked about the success of America, and also said that the best is yet to come. And here he is talking about Caroline Leavitt, who just had another child, by the way. And she's there on the dais as she was last time. And he talked about what a tough job she has. Take a listen. This is cut number 3.
But Caroline may have one of the hardest jobs in the White House. She has to deal with all of you all of the time. And you can be very difficult. You can be very, very difficult people. But I'm probably being a little bit oversensitive. Sometimes I really do think that some of you don't like me. In fact, I read a report. I get 93% negative publicity. 93. So how the hell did I win the election by so much? Think of it. I don't think that's true. I can't believe it's 93. In the 80s maybe, but not 93. But this place is really the largest group of Trump derangement syndrome people ever put together at one time, I suspect.
That was very funny. It's the largest crowd of Trump derangement syndrome anywhere. So that was a very, very funny line. And here is also where he talked about Gavin Newsom, of course, who many believe is going to run for president next go around. He's, of course, the governor of California. And President Trump said, I wish he was here.
And it's traditional that at least one or two potential presidential hopefuls attend the Correspondents' dinner, but many of them seem to have really chickened out. I was disappointed that Gavin Newsom didn't show up. He didn't show up. He should be here. But I heard that he recently said that we will lose our country if we don't fight fire with fire. And to be fair, there's only one thing we know about Gavin, and that's that he definitely doesn't want to fight fire with water. He's got a lot of water, never uses. What a disaster. That should have never happened.
And then President Trump also talked about Iran, and listen to the way he described the new leader. This is the son of the Ayatollah, who's rumored to be gay. And this is what President Trump had to say.
While I have all of the press here in one place, I have to say that we're having an amazing load of accomplishments that the media never talks about. For example, under my administration, a once feared and powerful regime that relentlessly attacked America has finally been toppled. Their former leaders have been removed, and they're now being run by a gay dictator facing internal divisions. But I, for one, wish Barry Weiss all the best at CBS News. She's a wonderful woman.
And this is cut number 8. We're just getting this in, where he said he's gearing up for 2028.
I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a 4th term as President of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official, in fact, I think I have, I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. No, I won 3 times, did very well the second time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it.
1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. And, of course, we are talking about the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Let's go to Sal in New Jersey on line 5. Sal, your thoughts tonight?
Yes, Rita, you remember last week I called you and I said Trump should run again. You remember?
He must have been listening to you, Sal, because he said it over and over tonight, and then he put on his hat. He had his little hat on.
I was hoping he listened.
Well, Sal, he is a smart man. You know what's so funny, Sal? The audience didn't know how to take that. Like you could tell, these are members of the media.
I even said to say it so he could scare them, and he did it.
Well, he definitely achieved that mission. That is 100%. Yeah, go ahead, Sal.
I am going to vote for him again, of course, if he runs. And I think he will try to do it. I really think so.
I don't think he's going to do it, but I think he does love razzle-dazzling the audience. That is for sure. And Sal, who knows? Maybe he was listening to you. He likes WABC and he likes the Rita Cosby show, so he very well may have been listening tonight. Sal, thank you very, very much. Let's go to John in Hell's Kitchen, line 4. Go ahead, John.
Good evening, Rita. How are you?
Good. What do you think so far about the Correspondents' dinner?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, with all due respect, and you're giggling a lot because you are a correspondent and you've been to these things. But I think that the amount of disrespect in that room and the smug looks on their faces, these dilettantes that don't realize the price of freedom, that don't realize what we have, that don't realize who we are, when they kept shooting the camera off to these yuppie, dilettante, Brooklyn, Mondami types and these so-called journalists who know nothing about journalism. At least you're there, Rita. You've been around. You're proven. You're fair. You listen. You take both sides. You listen to everyone. I thought that man stood up there tonight and he was trying to extend an olive branch in a way with a little bit of humor. The jokes, whoever wrote that speech, the jokes were not happening. But he was trying to express, he was gracious to Obama, he was gracious to people. You know, he had a few zingers, he had a few good zingers. But this is exactly what's wrong with our country. You know, the middle of the country is not New York or Los Angeles or Washington, D.C. Those people came tonight. He kept his word. He kept his word to that young lady. He showed up. I'm glad he didn't have his wife with him because I didn't like the last time that they could barely get her out of there. But the amount of this, I mean, this is the president of the United States.
You know, John, I 100% will agree with you. I didn't get to the audience yet, and I'm glad you did because I was focused on him because I wanted to at least honor the president's speech, and I do give him a lot of credit. I actually thought, to what I said, for him to show up there, I thought it was very admirable, and I thought he gave a great lengthy speech. He had some funny lines, but I'm glad you segued it to what I was also very frustrated. I kept looking, and it looked like they were like sucking on sour lemons. And I'll tell you this from experience, John. I have been in that White House Correspondents' dinner many times as one of the guests there, one of the honored guests. And when you are there, I've been in the room where, there are some people who I didn't think they were very funny or very good or whatever, but people were laughing because it's the president of the United States. I can't even remember if they were Republican or Democrat because it's a fun moment to have the president there. And there were times where Democrats were in there, and some of the speeches were really stupid and really not funny, but the crowd laughed like it was like Don Rickles,
Imagine this, Rita. Imagine this. I'm an actor. You go to a Broadway show, and the audience sits there and doesn't react, doesn't clap, doesn't tisk, doesn't breathe, doesn't sigh. This was embarrassing. This was prime time, Friday night, the whole world watching, and all these people took time. They left their children, they left their spouses, they left their homes. They came after work, they got dressed, they came there, and they sat there. It reminded me of a State of the Union speech when the whole Democratic Party, they didn't even clap for veterans or World War II veterans or kids dying of cancer or Rush Limbaugh. And I mean, this is what's wrong with this country because there has to be a little civility, a little humor, a little give and take. And I give him credit for not just walking out, but he stuck it out, and he stuck it out. But this is exactly the problem. And the Mondami situation, we spoke the other night. You remember when I called you and I told you that he's dog whistling. And now we got people getting stabbed, people getting jumped. And this guy Piker, putting a picture of the World Trade Center behind him.
Oh,
and
it's
saying, Look
completely
at the new picture."
disrespectful.
Well, not only disrespectful, dog, the sleeper cells here, Rita. You know that. Right after 9/11, the big word was sleeper cells.
Yep.
They're here, and they've been here, and the clarion is being blown, and now Mondami today is calling for civil unrest when Netanyahu's here, which you know what that'll lead to. And when they said to him, "Why would you say that?" he said, "Well, it's their First Amendment. Not when there's violence and Antifa and psychotics involved." So this man got up here tonight. He didn't have to show up tonight. He didn't have to reschedule this. He didn't have to come back. He didn't have to keep his word. He didn't have to sit there and take the ridicule. He did. He smiled. He shook their hands. He got up. And I thought it was the highest form of disrespect that I've ever seen for a commander-in-chief in my 70 years on this planet.
And John, I will actually agree with you. I did not like it. At first, I thought, am I not looking at the right thing? Because you're right. They looked so angry, and they looked so like, I can't believe we're sitting here in front of this guy. And you're right. I found it really repulsive. First of all, I would find it repulsive no matter who. And, Joe Biden, I've talked about, you guys, how addled I feel he is and all these other things. But if Joe Biden was up there trying to tell a joke, I would clap. And if I saw him down the street, I'd say, "Hello, Mr. President," because that's the respect for the office. And you're absolutely right. I kept looking, and the disrespect and the lack of laughing and the lack of clapping and the lack of it was a disgrace. I agree with you on that, John. John, you're terrific. I'm so glad you called back. And everybody, we're going to continue with your calls after the break. Well, we're playing a little YMCA. I think we're going to keep it in the background because then we'll boost it up when we get to the chorus. Because we are talking about the White House Correspondents' Dinner. President Trump delivers a great speech. Here it is, coming up.
It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything.
You can never go wrong with a little bit of the Village People. Of course, President Trump's favorite song, that and God Bless the USA. You always hear it at every rally. And also, I love the dancing. He always has his little Trump dance with the YMCA. We're going to continue with your calls, you guys, right after the break. What did you think of the Correspondents' Dinner? And you heard what John said. I agree with John, who just called in. The audience was very disrespectful to the President of the United States. They didn't give him the credit he was due. And we'll be right back.